Whoa, so many changes. Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Casey Michelle, your favorite breathwork facilitator / content creator. I'm in a new space. I got a haircut. Happy 2023. Today I want to actually talk about creating a sustainable wellness, not just necessarily a breathwork plan, but just in general. By the end of this video, I want you to walk away feeling like, okay, I know what my next steps are to be the better version of myself. And I can speak firsthand because I've helped a ton of people realize the value of a morning routine as well as just wellness routines in general and how much they benefit you throughout the day, not just in those moments of focus. It is such a noticeable difference seeing some of my students from just the moment they start the breath work to the very end of the breath work, or even those who have implemented it into their daily lives, following them on social media and seeing how much they've changed because they started to prioritize their nervous system is beautiful. In general, I feel like a morning routine, and I know we're really tired of those perfectly curated reels and TikToks that we see of people waking up at 5 a.m. and making their bed and having these really aesthetically pleasing glasses and all of that. Yeah, I think we're really overseeing those. I know I am, because it's just not sustainable, you know? It might be for some people, but I know for me personally, every day is a little different and every season is also a little different. I think a big part of sustainability is your circadian rhythm and just the natural flow of life, aka just noticing nature, and we are nature. So in the winter season, if it feels really hard to wake up at 5 a.m., I'm not saying give yourself the excuse to not get to your goals. If that's a part of your goals that you need to get up at 5 a.m. to hit, then no excuses. But at the same time, understanding that this is a time where rest is actually the most normal thing to be doing and all of the things in nature are in a rebirth. You know, just for me in general, even when it comes to my business plan, I even respect nature in that sense of okay, let me set my goals up by the seasons or by the quarters, because to start to try to plant some seeds in the winter and do all of this stuff and start all these things literally doesn't feel right. So I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna wait till the spring to start doing that. And then in the summer when things are really in full bloom, we'll do some really high energy things. But in general, that's kind of been my newly found way of kind of creating a sustainable plan and having grace for myself, because I think if you have that same pressure to maintain all year, I think it's a little unrealistic, me personally. If you can do it, then you're a champion. But you're still a champion if you can't, is what I'm saying, because I would like to think I'm a champion. So that being said, I have a very simple, basic, must do before my day gets started. And me personally, I think a morning routine is vital. Even if you have 15 minutes, if you have to wake up a little bit earlier, that makes such a difference to set that anchor for the day. Whatever our first hit of dopamine is when we first wake up, when we're in that subconscious waking state, we're in a really sensitive, receptive state right there. When you're drifting off to bed and when you're waking up, you're in the most receptive space. And so whatever you get a hit of dopamine with first is what your mind will try to go back to all day long. If you check social media very first thing in the morning, all day long your nervous system and mind is going to be we need that dopamine. Whereas if you set that time to be really intentional and really focused, and for me personally, and as you can probably guess, breath work being my first hit of dopamine and feel good hormones and just centeredness, I set that anchor for the day. My brain / nervous system, same thing, all day long have that reference to go back to. And so I think it's really, really important for those who are trying to establish some type of sustainability in their wellness and their mental health, whatever that looks like, routine or plan for this year or right now in life, to really, really think about it like that. You're setting an anchor for yourself every single day. So yeah, breath work is the very first thing I do. Before water, tea, before anything else, I'm doing some breath work. That might look a little different. There's some days where I am moving a lot, but I'm very conscious of my breath. So I'm doing yoga or I'm stretching. Sometimes I just want to be completely still the entire time. Sometimes I do a blend of both. But I have some type of conscious act with my breath, very first thing. So even if that looks like exercise for you, how conscious of your breath can you be the whole time you go on that run? It'll make it more of a meditative and active meditative practice. If you just want to practice meditation, really practicing coming back to your breath. Breath work itself is a little bit more active and we're just constantly in the breath the whole time. But no matter whatever that thing is, I think establishing and resetting your nervous system with conscious breathing in some form or fashion is essential. It doesn't have to be an hour long. It doesn't have to be this mountain in your mind, okay? So sustainability comes when we are realistic. Trying to become like a bodybuilder in a day or become this monk in a week is just not really realistic. So accepting where you're at, accepting where it is you're walking towards, and then just taking those steps day by day to get there. I would say the second like must do, must have, and this one is not always as consistent for me, is herbal tea. I just really believe in kind of easing into the day as much as possible. In such a fast-paced world where we're just like, wake up, get in the car, go, do this, answer to this person, I really prioritize my morning routine. Mine personally is around like, if I'm really got all the time in the day, it's around like 2 to sometimes 3 hours. But in general, for me, it's at least 30 minutes of breath work, usually more like 45 to an hour, followed by a cup of tea. And that's just because like we're talking morning routine and breakfast, break, fast. I'd rather just ease into it. The herbs kind of ground, help the digestion, aid the body and circulation for the day. Like just that combination for me personally has been my jam. Now, sometimes I don't get that cup of tea. Sometimes it's more like 20 minutes of breath work, depending on what's going on. But in general, like I know that those two things, I've simplified it to 2 things. I'm not trying to like go on this morning walk, go run 3 miles, write in my journal, read my book. Like I don't have this list of I have to do all these every morning. I love doing all those things in the morning. If I have the space and time, I will do all that. I'll read, I'll write, I'll go on a run, I'll do breath work, I'll drink tea, I'll do it all. But in general, I've simplified it to just 2 basics: breath work and a cup of tea. That cup of tea for me is really just medicinal. It's really just a moment to kind of slow down. I think anytime we're drinking any hot substance, it forces you to slow down. And that in itself is kind of a therapeutic moment. I think just simplifying. You know, my message is always less is more, and so if there's any way that you can kind of like bring it down to maybe even 1 thing, because really breath work is my 1 thing. But even on mornings, if I don't necessarily feel aligned to do breath work, I know that I have to have a mindful moment for myself, whatever that looks like, you know? So I think it's really easy to compare to all these people online with the millions of ways to be mindful, but if being mindful for you looks like coloring for 10 minutes or reading a book for 10 pages, whatever that little mindful moment is for you before you get into your day, do it. Prioritize it like it's the very first thing on your to-do list. Like the way that we have that pressure to complete all those other tasks, what if you put your wellness plan at the very top? Because ultimately that's going to make all those other tasks way easier, and you can be more efficient in those tasks once your mind is in a great state. It's really interesting how we think like, okay, once I get all this done, then I'll be able to meditate. And it's like, center yourself. And then you maybe even realize that half that stuff you can ask for help with, or you don't even need to do right now. Or, you know, you just have more clarity in execution. Hopefully this video helps you kind of get a game plan going for you. What are your like must-dos or must-haves for the day, or whatever that looks like for you in your wellness plan? What is it like, I have to do this, and why? Because I think it's really easy to just be doing something because we were told that it's a good thing to be doing, and we don't genuinely know why we're doing it or if it even really feels good. So for me, breath work has just always been this thing that stabilizes me. Very first thing in the day, I get to kind of receive from myself, from God. It's just a moment of like clarity before the day gets going. So what is your must do and why? And if you haven't figured that out yet, take the time to just try stuff. I know we specifically talked a lot about morning routine. It can be wherever in your routine or wherever your plan is. For me, I just know that that is my jam. Like my morning routine makes me a better human. So I need that in my life. That being said, that's all for this video. If you guys are interested in a 7-day breathwork challenge, I just wanted to throw it in here real quick. It's formerly known as the 7-day beginner's breathwork course. Some of you maybe have already participated in, but I do have a 7-day breathwork challenge in the link below if you're ready to just dive into what that might feel like. That might be somewhere to start to get your wellness plan going. Otherwise, guys, make sure you're subscribed, give it a thumbs up, do all that fun stuff, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.